Okay, in this video I want to talk to you about how do you use VBA to move from one sheet to another, whether the sheet is visible or not visible. And the way that I do that is I go to the Visual Basic tab here by pressing Alt F11. If you do not know how to get to the Developer tab, you need to go to File, Options, and then under the Customize ribbon, there's a developer option there that you can check. In here, under Visual Basic, I have some code written already to give you an idea of what you will need to do in order to get to another sheet. The way that you can do this is, let's just create a new module from scratch to do this code. So, sub, and I'm going to call it active sheet. It doesn't really matter what you call it as long as you can identify that later. So let's pretend that I want to get to this sheet 2. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to rename this to second or something so that it has an actual name other than the default. So what I can do in the code here is say this workbook, I'm talking about the whole workbook, the sheets, and I have two choices. I could type in quotations the actual name of the sheet, in this case which would be second, or better, I can use just the number of the sheet, which here is going to be sheet 2. So if I put 2 in parentheses, it's going to keep that no matter if I change the name of the sheet or not. And what I want to look at first is whether or not this sheet is visible. So what I want to do is hide sheet 2 for a moment, so that way we can see this code working. Oftentimes in my programs, I will hide a bunch of the sheets, so that way only the ones that we're needing are visible at a time. And so this is going to unhide anything that is hidden. Once I have it unhidden, then I want to say this workbook dot sheets 2 dot activate. What this is going to do is put it the active sheet into the screen. And so let me just go ahead and play this. You can see that second is now unhidden and it moved to this section. The other thing that I like to do with activating sheets is put my cursor into the right cell, so activate the correct cell. And so let's pretend that I want to activate cell A1. Well, I could just say range A1 dot select, and that will get me to A1. And so now if I go back to sheet 1 and I right click assign macro, I could do active sheet. Let's hide sheet 2 again and watch the code work. There we go. So it unhid itself and now it is here for us to look at. Let's say now I want to go back to sheet 1. Well, it's just as simple. I could write another macro underneath and say that I want to hide sheet 2. Here I could say Excel VERYHIDDEN. If I do that, then not only is the sheet not viewable here, it's also not viewable under this unhide option. So let me just go ahead and run that code, but let's change the active sheet to 1 so it takes us back to the first sheet. And it says we can't have the same name, of course. So let's say 2. There we go. So now the second sheet is hidden. If I go to unhide, there's nothing to unhide because that sheet is very hidden. If I just simply want to hide it, then I could say false here. And I'm going to copy my button so that I can put it on the second sheet. Let's paste this button and assign the macro sheet for the second sheet. And now if I hide it, I will be able to go under unhide and unhide it manually if I want to. The benefit of doing the very hidden is that if you're giving this out to someone else, they're not going to be able to go in there and find that sheet if you don't want them to. And so, for example, in the toolkit toolbox that I created, you will be able to see that I have certain areas that are called admin areas, which only allow certain users to go into them. And so having them as XL very hidden will not allow others to get into them if they're not supposed to.